All right, let's give this thing a shot, shall we? I'll call the city council meeting of.
Wait.
Pardon me?
Nope, we're good.
Okay, I'll call to order the city council meeting of April 13th with a roll call, please.
Mayor Smith,
Here.
council members Abbott,
Here.
Lawson,
Here.
Anderson,
Here.
Bybee,
Here.
Dare,
Here.
City Attorney Adams,
Here.
City Manager Croots.
Here.
We have a quorum. Thank you.
Okay, let me, I gotta work off two things here. Okay, we don't have any opening ceremony, public comment. Now this will be different for us. Is there any public comment? Lisa? Is Lisa here? Yeah.
I was looking through, I'm not seeing anybody, but if anybody does have any public comment, if you could press *9 on your touch tone phone to indicate that you would like to speak.
Okay. We don't have invocation speaker today, but Mr. Abbott, would you lead us in the pledge, and if they can put the flag on the screen, please?
Yep. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. When the flag comes up. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
and
to the republic
for which it stands,
stands one nation
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice for all.
justice for all.
Okay, so we don't have any public comment. I'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Looking for a motion.
Move to approve.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. So this is where I have a question, Lisa. Do we take individual vote so we know who it was, or can I just ask for the ayes and nays?
We were going to roll call vote, so by
Okay.
Ward 1, Ward 2, etc.
Okay, go ahead. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, Lisa.
Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4,
Aye.
and Ward 5.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Move on to number 6, the minutes. Consideration and possible approval of minutes of the Sparks City Council meeting for March 23rd, 2020. Looking for a motion?
Move to approve. Are we doing the hand thing or?
Okay, yeah, just jump in there. So we have a motion. Looking for a second?
Second.
Anybody? Okay, we got a second from Mr. Lawson. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Lisa?
Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Yay.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4,
Aye.
and Ward 5.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Okay, we'll move on to announcements, presentations, recognition items, and items of special interest. 7.1, a proclamation for Fair Housing Month. Mr. Abbott.
I got that. So we'll start out with whereas April 2020 marks the 52nd anniversary of Title VIII of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, the Federal Fair Housing Act, which provides equal opportunity for all Americans in the sale, rental, and financing of housing, and prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. And whereas the Fair Housing Amendments Act of 1988 added familial status and handicap to those classes protected by Title VIII, and strong new rights, remedies, monetary penalties, and judicial and administrative enforcement procedures. And whereas Nevada state law also prohibits discrimination on the basis of ancestry, sexual orientation, and gender identity or expression. And whereas it is the solemn and sworn duty of government at all levels to defend the rights of all citizens and oppose housing discrimination whenever and wherever it occurs. And whereas illegal barriers to equal opportunity in housing, no matter how subtle, that diminish the rights of some of our citizens, diminish the rules of all. And whereas Silver State Fair Housing Council actively works to ensure equal housing opportunity for all people in Nevada to freely choose where they want and can afford to live, and the City of Sparks supports the efforts of Silver State Fair Housing Council and all other agencies pursuing fair housing. Now, on behalf of Mayor Ronald E. Smith, Mayor of City of Sparks, Nevada, to hereby proclaim April 2020 as Fair Housing Month.
Okay, so we'll make sure we get that proclamation to them, right, Lisa?
Correct.
Okay, we'll move on to, hang on a minute.
Mayor, this is Christopher. Just real quick. I'm looking on Facebook and it doesn't show that we're showing on there. Does somebody want to check that? Just making sure we're online correctly. Sorry about that.
We will look into that and make sure we get on as quick as we can.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Christopher. Okay, I'll move on to a proclamation for the Public Safety Telecommunications Week. Excuse me. Whereas residents of Sparks call 911 or the non-emergency dispatch for help in emergencies and for other assistance over 170,000 times in 2019. And whereas our emergency communication dispatchers are the first contact for a person in crisis and knowledgeable, highly trained employees who work closely with police, fire, and emergency medical personnel to gather vital information and dispatch public safety assistance, often making the difference between life, death, and whereas Sparks residents enjoy a high standard of public safety because of the emergency communications personnel who apply their expertise in dispatching help to ensure public safety. And whereas our emergency communications dispatchers are among more than 500,000 telecommunications specialists who work daily to protect the public and promote public safety across our nation. Now, therefore, I, Ron Lee Smith, Mayor of the City of Sparks, Nevada, do hereby proclaim April 12th to the 18th, 2020 as Public Safety Telecommunications Week, and join with the City Council in acknowledging and thanking our public safety dispatch supervisors, Cherie Terry, Maureen Diet, Mary Holbrook, David Brown, and Linda McCoy, and dispatchers Lisa Buckles, Shelley Burkhart, Denise Wagner, Mary Hale, Lori Howard, Stephanie Buck, Mika McGinn, Christopher Luciano, Amy Moore, Sherry Campbell, Alicia Merval, and Christian Hatch. Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, we have a very quick video to show.
Okay.
So I'm going to pull that up right now.
Thank you, Lisa. We can't say enough about the jobs that those folks do over there. I mean, amazing, amazing work. Any comments from the council?
Actually, if I may, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
just want to say I spent a few hours up there with them one night and I was in awe at what they're able to do and keep calm when calls are coming in, police, fire. I saw them taking text messages that were coming in, 911 calls, radio going off, and without missing a beat. They did an awesome job. They're a rock star crew up there.
They certainly are, yes. Anybody else?
Yes, sir. I just want to say the same.
Mr. Dare.
We all got to see some of what they got to be part of. You know, when it comes to first responders, a lot of times we see all the frontline people, but it's a lot of times people behind the scene that keeps all of our frontline safe. So just thank you to them. And it's just such an important job. I'm glad that we are able to continue to expand and have more.
Yes, sir.
And Ron.
Mr. Abbott.
I'll just second everything Councilman Anderson said. I spent some time out there too, and I thought I was good at multitasking until up there something else. And just seeing everything happening at all times, and then staying calm with it is definitely. We have a great group of people up there, so thank you.
And you see why they have to be trained, and you just can't shove somebody in that job. It takes a while to train them. Absolutely. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move on to 7.3 and 7.4. Neil.
Good afternoon, Mayor Smith and members of the City Council. For the record, Neil Crouch, City Manager, here to announce a total of 5 vacancies, the first 3 of which are on the Parks and Recreation Commission, and they are for 3-year terms. Applicants must either be a Sparks resident or have a valid business license within the City of Sparks at the time of appointment. We're going to take applications on all 3 of those positions through Friday, May 1st of 2020. And then the other 2 vacancies we have are on the Civil Service Commission. Those terms are also for 3 years. And again, we'll take applications through Friday, May 1st. If you're interested in, applying for either of these committees, you should complete a community service application available either from the city clerk's office or on the city's website. If you choose to apply online, which is certainly the preferred mode in this day and age, please go to www.cityofsparks.us/get-involved. Then click on volunteering for a Sparks board, commission, or committee, fill out the form, and press submit. Thank you, Mayor Smith.
Thank you, Neil. We'll move on to consent items. Anybody want to pull a consent item? Lisa.
We need a motion.
Oh, okay. Your box lit up, so I don't know what that was. Okay, looking for a motion.
I can make a motion to pass consent items 8.1 to 8.6.
Okay, do we have a second?
Councilwoman Bybee, Ward 4, I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Lisa.
Ward 1.
Aye.
Ward 2.
Aye.
Ward 3.
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
And Ward 5.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll move on to general business. 9.1 discussion, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of a construction contract AC 5657 for the Stanford Way Sanitary Sewer CIPP project. Is that you, Kevin?
It is. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Members of council, for the record, Kevin Porter, utility manager. As you mentioned, item 9.1 is a construction contract with Express Sewer and Drain, and it is for a CIPP liner, which stands for Cured in Place Pipe. And cured in place pipe is a method to rehabilitate an existing sewer line that is significantly less expensive than replacing the entire sewer line. This project was approved in the fiscal year 20 CIP, and I'm going to share an exhibit from my screen so that you guys can see the vicinity map here. Give me one moment. Are you able to see the screen, Mr. Mayor?
I am. Perfect.
Okay, great. This is a vicinity map of the project. There's 2 pages here. We'll look at the first page. The green line that you see running north and south is along Stanford Way. This is where the majority of the project will take place. The limits are between Victorian Avenue on the south and Prater Way on the north. The project will go in and install a structural liner in the existing sewer line along Stanford Way. And now I'm going to turn to the second page. You should be seeing the second page now, which is in the vicinity of Canoga Court. The green line once again represents the existing sewer there, which will be rehabbed using the cured in place pipe rehabilitation method. This is just north of Audi Boulevard, and this is just west of Rock Boulevard. The city received 4 bids at City Hall on February 13th for this project. Express Sewer and Drain submitted the low bid in the amount of $365,460. And an estimate of what this project would cost if we were to go and completely replace all these sewer lines is approximately $1.5 million. So under the right circumstances, when this method is applicable, we do see a significant cost savings to the city. Staff recommends approval, and with that, I will stop sharing my screen and be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, looking for a motion.
For the motion.
Mr. Abbott.
I move to approve the construction contract AC-5657 for the Stanford Way Sanitary Sewer CIPP project with Express Sewer and Drain in the amount of $365,460.
Okay, we have a motion, looking for a second.
Second.
Who's that, Ed?
Lawson, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Lisa?
Ward 1? Ward 1?
Aye.
Ward 2?
Aye.
Ward 3?
Aye.
Ward 4?
Aye.
Ward 5?
Aye.
Thank you.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. 9.2, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of an interlocal cooperative agreement, AC 5658, with the Truckee Meadows Water Authority for the reimbursement of actual cost estimated in the amount of $315,000 for water main relocation. That's you also, Kevin.
It is. Thank you once again, Mr. Mayor and members of council. For the record, Kevin Porter, Utility Manager. As you mentioned, this is an agreement with Tumwa, an interlocal agreement for reimbursement of construction costs. The way this differs from the last few interlocal agreements that we have brought before council is that the city will be managing the construction contract associated with this work, and then Tumwa will reimburse the city for that work. This is associated with the Tyler Way and 18th Street Sanitary Sewer Project, which was approved in the fiscal year 20 CIP. And once again, I will share my screen to show an exhibit of where this project will take place. And I'll check with you once again. Mr. Mayor, are you able to see the exhibit on the screen?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So the green line, once again, represents the extent or the limits of the fiscal year 20 sanitary sewer replacement project. The sewer project will ultimately upsize and replace the sewer lines in 18th Street and Tyler Way, as you can see there on the exhibit on your screen. The interlocal agreement with Tumwa is necessary because the Tumwa water main, both in, primarily in Tyler Way, is lying directly above the sanitary sewer. For us to be able to excavate down and access this sewer line, we need Tumwa to move or a contractor to relocate that water main in the street. And so the interlocal, what the interlocal agreement allows us to do is to manage this all under one work, under one contract, utilizing a single contractor. And the big savings there is time. Having one contractor mobilized on site to do all the work will also receive some efficiencies in terms of economies of scale for having one contractor do a larger contract as opposed to two contractors doing a smaller contract. Tumwa designed their portion of the work on their own dime and will be reimbursing the city for the construction costs and the cost associated with the inspection and testing for the project. The amount of the work that is associated with the Tumwa work is estimated to be $315,000, but once again, the agreement states that they will reimburse the city for the actual cost of construction. Staff recommends approval with this item as well. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none? All in favor? Lisa?
We need a motion first, please.
Oh, sorry. I thought it's okay. Looking for a motion.
So
I'll make
moved.
the motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read it. I move to approve the interlocal cooperative agreement AC 5658 with the Truckee Meadows Water Authority for the reimbursement of actual cost estimated in the amount of $315,000 for water main relocation associated with Tyler Way and 18th Street Sanitary Sewer Project.
Okay, we have a motion looking for a second. Anyone?
Second.
Okay, I heard Mr. Dare. Was that you?
Actually, Ed Lawson got it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Lisa?
Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4,
Aye.
Ward 5.
Aye.
Thank you.
Passes unanimously. Thanks, Lisa.
Of course.
We move on to 9.3. Consideration of possible ratification of the city manager's declaration of a state of emergency in the city of Sparks due to the global outbreak of COVID-19. Neil.
Good afternoon, Mayor Smith and members of the City Council. For the record, Neil Kreutz, your city manager. Back on March 15th, with the concurrence of Mayor Smith, I did declare an emergency inside our city as it related to the COVID-19, and that emergency continues. We're here today to ask you to ratify that decision as is required by our municipal code. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. Looking for a motion?
I had one comment. I think all of us would say you guys are doing a great job in helping with the region, working together. And we've all been a lot on the emergency calls. And so what a crazy time we're in, but thank you to our emergency team and all you guys that are what you're doing. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll be certain to share that with our staff.
Thank you, Mr. Dare. Okay, so looking for a motion. Ms. Bybee.
Ready to make a motion. Councilwoman Bybee, I move to ratify the city manager's declaration of a state of emergency in the city of Sparks due to the global outbreak of COVID-19.
Okay, we have a motion. Looking for a second.
I'll second it, Councilman Abbott.
Got a second from Councilman Abbott. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Lisa?
Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4,
Aye.
Ward 5.
Aye.
Thank you.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on 9.4, consideration of possible ratification of an interlocal agreement AC 5659 between the city of Sparks, the city of Reno, Washoe County, and the Washoe County Health District. Neil.
Good afternoon again, Mayor Smith and members of the council. For the record, Neil Kreutz, your city manager, here with the first of 3 agreements that are on your agenda today, where I have actually already signed them and I'm asking for your ratification. One in particular that we're addressing under 9.4 was the agreement that I entered into that appointed an incident management team to help us in our regional response efforts to kind of oversee the flow of information and materials out to the community. I think it's been an unqualified success in that we've got a good team up at the regional EOC that's working very hard. We've got members of our own staff that are up there participating on it, and actually some that have moved on to help run the state EOC. But in terms of this specific agreement, we did have to delegate certain powers to the incident management team so they could act on our behalf. I did agree to that, and I'm asking you to ratify that decision. With that said, I'd be happy to try and answer any questions you have.
Okay, questions or comments? Seeing none, looking for a motion.
I can make a motion on that, sir.
Mr. Dare.
I move to ratify the interlocal agreement AC 5659 between the city of Sparks, the city of Reno, Washoe County, and the Washoe County Health District, delegating certain authorities to an appointed incident commander and establishing an incident management team for the purpose of effectuating a coordinated regional response to the COVID-19 global pandemic event.
Okay, we have a motion. Looking for a second.
I'll second that motion. Councilwoman Bybee.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Lisa?
Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4,
Aye.
and Ward 5.
Aye.
Thank you.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, 9.5. Consideration of possible ratification of a cost-sharing agreement, AC 5660, between the City of Sparks, the City of Reno, and Washoe County for incident response costs incurred by the incident commander of the incident management team. That's all I need to read. This is you again, Neil.
Good afternoon, Mayor Smith and members of the City Council. For the record, again, I'm Neil Crucher, City Manager. This is the second of the three agreements that are on your agenda today that I've entered into and I'm seeking ratification on. And this is the biggie, if you will, in that this is where we have agreed to share the costs for the regional response to this emergency with Washoe County and with the City of Reno. I was successful in negotiating a cost-sharing agreement that's going to have the cost, any local costs split 50% picked up by Washoe County, 35% picked up by the City of Reno, and 15% picked up by the City of Sparks. That roughly or loosely follows the population count and the distribution of consolidated taxes around our region. So it certainly lines up with essentially the revenues that come to us from the public to help pay for all the services that we provide. So I think it is an equitable sharing of costs. To put those costs into perspective, when we declare an emergency, we end up enjoying federal declaration as well, which we have here, all 50 states have. The way this usually plays out is the federal government picks up the first 75% of the costs, leaving local government to pay the final 25. And then past practice is that we share that 25% evenly with the state of Nevada. So essentially, they would pick up 12.5%, and the local governments would pick up 12.5%. So of that remaining 12.5%, the agreement that's in front of you right now is for us to pick up 15% of that. Really, to boil all that down, if you approve this today, we would end up paying 1.875% of the emergency's costs. Or to ground it a little bit further, for every $5 million we spend as a community responding to this emergency, we're going to pick up just under $100,000 in those costs. So with that, I would be happy to try and answer any of your questions. And we'll go from there. Thanks.
Okay, questions or comments?
I have a question.
Ms. Bybee.
Neil, how does this relate to the economic relief bills that are coming? 3, 4 so far, and a fourth one, which is directed to the state and to the local government. So how does what we're doing in this breakdown, does it just offset those costs and then we look at what our bottom balance is on after all is done and said?
These are the three bills that have been passed will certainly help set aside funds that are ultimately going to be used to make that 3/4 of the payback. As far as our ability to lean into, say, the CDBG program where we've gotten some additional funding, that remains to be seen how much of those funds we can be used to pick up the local share, or whether or not the federal government's going to step back and say, hey, hang on a second, that you can't use that money for this. We've got a little bit of work to do there, but we'll have to see how that shakes out.
Mr. Adams, did you want?
I didn't have anything to say, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Questions? Okay, looking for a motion.
Councilman Anderson, willing to make the motion?
Okay.
Move to ratify the cost-sharing agreement AC 5660 between City of Sparks, City of Reno, and Washoe County for incident response costs incurred by the incident commander of the incident management team for the purpose of effectuating a coordinated regional response to COVID-19 global pandemic event.
Okay, we have a motion, looking for a second.
I can second that.
Okay, Mr. Dare. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Lisa?
Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4,
Aye.
and Ward 5. Thank you.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to 9.6, consideration and possible ratification of an agreement AC 5661 for service between WellCare Services Reno LLC and Washoe County, City of Sparks, the City of Reno, and the Washoe County Health District. It's you again, Neil. It's the Kevin and Neil show.
This is my fourth and final appearance on today's meeting, and with the last of the agreements I'm asking to ratify. And this is an agreement that we signed with WellCare Services to provide us up to 43 beds to help house indigent persons who are either tested positive or we're concerned that they might be positive, so they either need to be self-isolated or quarantined. And we've set this up to run for a period of 60 days. The initial cost for that 60 days is the $387,000 that's referenced in the item there. It would be paid for using the cost share splits that I just walked you through on the previous item. And should the emergency go longer than the 60 days we initially outlined, we have the opportunity to extend it in 30-day chunks, if you will. With that said, I'd be happy to try and answer any questions you have.
Okay, questions or comments?
I had one question.
Mr. Dare.
Are they planning on expanding where their services are? Because I know they're down at Record Street. Is that just still going to be their main headquarters of what they're doing?
Well, what's going on there with VOA is a little different than WellCare. WellCare is using their facilities outside of Record Street to stand up these 43 beds. So they are separate from what we've got going on down there, and constitute an increase in our ability to respond into the homeless population.
Any other questions? Pardon me?
Thank you.
Questions or comments? Mr. Dare.
I just said, thank you. That's all.
Okay. Okay, we're looking for a motion then.
I can go for it. Abbott.
Mr. Abbott.
I move to ratify the cost sharing agreement AC-5660 between the City of Sparks, the City of Reno, and Washoe County for incident response costs incurred by. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. I think I was on my computer. Sorry, I was off. I move to ratify the agreement AC-5661 for services between WellCare Services Reno LLC and Washoe County, the City of Sparks, the City of Reno, and Washoe County Health District for the provision of short-term housing services for the purpose of isolation or quarantining individuals residing in Washoe County who have tested positive for COVID-19 or are suspected of having COVID-19 in an initial amount of up to $387,000, with the City of Sparks share being 15% of the total unreimbursed cost. Sorry about that.
That's okay. We have a motion. Looking for a second.
Councilman Anderson, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I have a question. City
Yes,
Attorney
Jeff.
Adams. What is the occupancy rate here in this alternative housing facility right now?
Chet, I don't have an answer that's current as of today. The last I heard, middle of last week, we were at less than 10 people, and we're utilizing those services.
Well, how many people does this house? I mean, 387,000 for 10 people.
This will house up to 43 for a period of 60 days.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, Lisa?
Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4,
Aye.
and Ward 5.
Aye.
Thank you.
Passes unanimously. Okay, we'll move on to number 10. We do not have any public hearing and action items unrelated to planning and zoning. So we'll move on to 11, planning and zoning public hearings and action items. Public hearing. Consideration of and possible action on a request to amend a final, somebody say something? A final plan development handbook for the Legends at Sparks Marina, generally located north of I-80, south of Prater Way and west of Sparks Boulevard, Sparks, Nevada, on a site approximately 140 acres in size in the NUD. And this is Danny.
So this is Ian Crittenden. I'll be pinch hitting for Danny today.
Okay, Ian.
I apologize. I believe my share is on the wrong page. Hold on a minute. Sorry. There we go. So as you stated, this is a request to amend the Legends Plan Development Handbook. specifically related to standards for parking and the buffer wall. The Sparks plan development can be seen here outlined in red. The area is located generally north of I-80 and west of Sparks Boulevard. This amendment would impact the entire 148 and some change acres of the site. The standards being requested to be amended specifically are that the current parking standards for the entirety of the Legends plan development is 4.25 spaces per 1,000 square feet, with the exception of the luxury motor coach dealer, which is 4 spaces per 1,000 square feet of the office and sales area and 1 per 1,000 square feet of the service area. That extends also to hotels. They are asking to amend that requirement for hotels to 1 space per room plus 1 space per 800 square feet of restaurant and public meeting area. That is the same as the requirement in the Sparks Municipal Code for hotels. So it would come into conformance with the standards of in the Sparks Municipal Code. There's an additional standard in the parking standards that asks that they submit a cumulative parking analysis for all tenant improvements and business licenses. That is onerous not only on the applicant but also on staff. And we have asked they amend that to just providing one when requested by staff. We feel that is adequate for us to be able to maintain control and understanding of what's happening as far as parking there, but doesn't require them to submit one every time a business license changes in the Legends handbook or in that area. The other set of standards that we're going to talk about is buffer walls. Along the west side of this site, there is a required buffer wall that's supposed to buffer the commercial activities of the Legends Plan Development Handbook from the residential uses that are west of there. They are asking to amend the construction materials and design of those walls. The heights and location of those walls will not be changed, just the materials used to build them. So they've also asked to remove Exhibit A92 in the handbook, which was the details for the old wall that was previously required. The new wall would need to be constructed of masonry block or precast panels, but differs from what was previously approved. There are 10 findings related to amendment of a plan development handbook. We have grouped those into categories rather than being in alphabetical order. So if you see them out of order, it's because we thought they fit better in this group of findings. PDs A, or findings PDA, B, and G all deal with conformance, whether it's with the comprehensive plan, Nevada or federal law, or the regional plan, or with surrounding land uses and entire development. We felt like these all went together. The proposed amendments to the handbook do not change the types of land uses permitted in the Legends Plan development, only certain development standards related to parking and buffer walls, and only in a manner that does not adversely impact surrounding land uses and is still consistent with the entire development. So we feel that findings PD A, B, and G can be made. Findings PD C, D, and E all have public interest impacts. The first one is about fiscal positivity over a 20-year period. This request does not change permitted uses or their densities, so a fiscal impact analysis was not required. PDD, it's just a clarification in allowed materials and design types for buffer walls and does not adversely affect the adjacent residential uses, and the wall served to buffer these uses, and will continue to serve the buffering purposes even if they're made of different materials. And then finally, as there's no proposed changes to the land uses permitted in the handbook, this amendment doesn't have a negative impact on the reliances on the provisions of this plan. Staff does believe that findings PDC, PDD, and PDE can be made. Findings PDF, H, and I also have impacts on public interest. The public retains full access to all parking facilities, and there's no modifications to the circulation plan. So we believe PDF can still be made or can be made. Finding PDH, the modification of this allowed material and design elements of the buffer walls seeks to provide flexibility in design while continuing to provide the buffering impacts that those walls are intended to have. And this process, proposed modification to parking ratios doesn't impact adjacent uses. So PDH can be made. And then finally, PDI, the modifications to parking standards and buffer walls apply to the plan development, the Legends plan development as a whole, and not to a single site or for any specific site, single person. Then the last finding is PDJ about public notice and public hearings. The Planning Commission and City Council meetings meet the function for public hearings for this item. The request was noticed to all property owners within the Legends Plan Development Handbook, as well as all property owners within 750 feet of the Legends Plan Development. A total of 104 public notices were mailed to property owners on February 19th, 2020. And the public notice was published in the Reno Gazette Journal on February 21st, 2020. To my knowledge, we've only received 2 public comments. They should have been included in the package for this item thus far. Staff and the Planning Commission have recommended approval of this request. That is the end of my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And the final slide I have is just the recommended motion for your convenience.
Okay, any questions or comments?
Councilman Anderson, I actually do have a question on this one.
Go ahead.
I just want to make sure I understand correctly. The height of the wall is not changing. It's just the type of wall. Is that correct?
That's correct, Councilman Anderson. It is some material changes, but the height and location of that wall is not changing from what was previously approved, just material and design of the wall.
Okay, thank you.
Ian, I have a question on the 1 parking space per 800 square feet of was it a restaurant?
Of restaurant or public meeting space, yes.
That doesn't seem like a heck of a lot of parking spaces.
That is a little lower than you would normally see for like a restaurant. But the idea is that the predominance of people eating at those restaurants are also staying in the hotel. So the necessity for additional parking spaces is lower.
I don't know if I agree with that. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Sorry, this is City Clerk Lisa Hunterman. Before you open the item for a public hearing, there are 2 gentlemen on the phone from Red Development that would like to speak regarding the project.
Okay.
So, I have David Dawson and Barry Shanahan.
Okay. The floor is yours. Can they hear?
Let's check. Hold on just a second. Looks like they should be open. Is that Barry Shanahan? Can you hear me?
Yes, it is. Good afternoon, Mayor Smith. Barry Shanahan. I have no specific remarks. I am available for questions should anybody have them.
Okay, Barry. How about who else on there, Dave? Lisa?
Yes, good afternoon. David Dawson. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Just to second what Barry said, also don't have anything specific to add, but am available if there are any questions.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll open up the public comment period right now. Get that out of the way. Is there any, I did see somebody come on the line. Did we have them there, Lisa?
So I do have a couple callers in, and so what I would like to announce at this time is if you are interested in making public comment regarding this specific item, item 11.1, please press *9 on your telephone now to raise your hand and indicate your desire to speak.
I don't know who that is. It just shows a number.
Nope, that's just the 2 gentlemen that are from Red Development. So I don't show any requests for public comment on this item, sir.
Is Jeannie Herman on the line? I just saw her come on. No one. Okay, seeing nobody, no public comment, we'll bring it back to the council. Looking for a motion.
Paul Anderson, Ward 3, would like to make a motion to approve. I'll read it if you're ready.
Okay.
Move to approve an amendment to the final plan development handbook for Legends at Sparks Marina, generally located north of I-80, south of Prater Way, west of Sparks Boulevard in Sparks, Nevada, on a site approximately 148 acres in size in the new urban district Legends at Marina zoning district, to revise standards for buffer walls, to remove parking standards for a baseball stadium, to reduce parking standards for hotels and other matters related thereto.
Okay, and we have a motion. Looking for a second. Somebody?
Councilwoman Bybee, I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Lisa.
Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4,
Aye.
and Ward 5.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to open up the public comment period. Is there any public comment, Lisa?
Okay, so one more time, if you would like to make a general public comment, now would be the time. If you press *9 on your telephone, that would indicate your desire to speak, and we will go ahead and let you have your time.
Wait a second here, see if anything happens. Anybody, Lisa?
I'm not showing any, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll close the public comment. Move on. Comments from the mayor, city council, and city manager.
I have
Anybody?
a comment from Ed Lawson.
Okay, Ed.
Back in 2014, we deferred fees on new construction, and we mainly just considered that for homes. Obviously, with the difference in the way our downtown is being built, I'd like to see if we can make an amendment to that code to extend the time to pay the fees on a 1 story to be 1 year as it is today. 2 to 4 stories would be 2 years, and anything over 5 stories would be 3 years.
So you giving that instructions to Neil?
For Cruz, I sent him an email on it, so he's aware of it. But I needed to do that publicly. I forgot to do it at our last council meeting.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, this is Christopher Dare. One other thing, I get a lot of questions, obviously, on people watching us spend money on new house, creating this surge just in case something happens, it gets worse with their COVID-19. Is it possible in our next meeting to have a little bit of update of some of that thought, some of the emergency behind the scenes? We get to hear it all, so we're aware, but I have a lot of questions that keep being out there. So it might be nice to let the public understand our approach and why we're spending the kind of money we are. And it's all supportive.
I would be happy to invite the district health officer and our incident commander to make a presentation at our next meeting, and then I can review a summary of costs, if that would be helpful.
I think that'd be perfect.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr.
Any
Mayor?
other comment?
Yeah.
Ms. Bybee.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to reach out and sincere thank you to, with both Chief Fire and Police Chief sitting here with us, and the city manager, to your staff, to your leadership. This is unprecedented. I mean, none of us could be ever prepared on a local, national, or worldwide level to what we're facing. And as tough as it is, it's also inspiring to see the innovation, to see our city staff and innovations we're coming up with in looking at new ways to do business, in looking at ways to respond to this crisis, to keep our citizens as healthy as we can, and the long hours and unique thinking outside of the box that every one of us, but especially you and Neil, your leadership with our leadership team on the city, And then Julie with the regional, information and COVID Washoe that has all the great information that I think a lot of us are trying to promote and to share on social media with residents to keep people as informed as they can be, and to also that messaging of staying home is really the only, it's not a cure, but it's the only remedy we have right now, and encouraging people to do that. So I appreciate all the work you're doing. I appreciate the rest of my council and mayor for all of us staying home, because we can't tell other people, we can't be messaging that and then we're out, on social media and out doing things when we're asking people to stay home. So thank you all for doing that, for setting a good example, and we'll get through this. I know we will. Thank you.
Yes, we will. Any other comments? No, I have one. I want to say that I think this meeting, for our first Zoom meeting, I know we've all been experimenting with them in our other committees, but I thought this went really well. Everybody was prepared. So I just want to thank Neil and Doug and John and everybody involved in this. Good job. I think it went off well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. There's a tremendous amount of work that went on behind the scenes to help us all get ready for today's meeting. I think it was very much a success. Speaking a little bit selfishly, some of the audiovisual aids that were easier to see on my laptop than they are on the screens we have in the council chambers. They were a little clearer, a little cleaner. So I enjoyed that part. But thank you to you, Mayor Smith, and to all of the council for your support in our efforts as a staff to serve our community. What goes on behind the scenes is tremendous. We are supported by 500 fantastic full-time employees and a whole bunch of temporary and contract employees as well. It is a team effort, and we're pleased to be able to serve the 104,000 and change of people who live in the city of Sparks, and the additional thousands who call it their home during the day when they come here to work. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, with that objection, we are adjourned. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later.